Hi, guys. Welcome for a special edition of the Nemesis project where we lo- we lost Nick. Oh no. Oh, he's back. Welcome back. Anyway, welcome to the Nemesis project where we usually we play all the Resident Evil games, we talk about it and then we rank it, but we're also starting a new thing where we interview voice actors and people who create the game, write the game. We just love everything Resident Evil. So I'm Joe Dubs. I'm with Zach,
Zach? Yeah, I'm Zach.
and we have a special guest. And now Nick, I've been practicing your last name because I am terrible at saying names. So here it goes. Nick Apostolides. Did I say it correctly?
That was 1000% perfect. Yeah. What's up, guys?
Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me on.
So I guess we'll start it off with introductions. Tell a little about yourself real quickly, if you could.
Oh, I'm just a happy-go-lucky guy. I'm a hobbyist. I have a lot of hobbies in my life. I'm definitely creative, and yeah, I've been an actor for about 11 years, and I'm finding that my direction now is getting into video games. When I learned it could be a viable career in LA, I said to myself, "Let's do it," because I've been playing games all my life. I'm just a gaming nerd, I guess, and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go on forever, but that's a little tiny gist about myself.
Okay. Well, I've been actually reading up on you. I actually watched one of your movies.
Sweet.
I watched American Girl last night. Uh,
Oh, that was a cute one. That was the first feature I ever did in LA. Yeah, that
mhm.
was cute.
Yeah, I'll actually go into one of the first questions for that since I watched American Girl. How was it working with? And again, I really bad at names. Amy Campione, the one who is Marnie. It
Yeah,
seemed like you two had good chemistry. How was it working with her?
that team was good. They were really
Oh, we lost him.
Stars.
We lost you.
I'm back.
All right. We you were about to discuss your chemistry and the staff of American Girl.
Oh, jeez. I went on for a second. Okay, sorry, guys. I'm sitting still. I should have decent service. Anyways, I'll go into it again. Um, Amy's great. We had easy chemistry, her and I. And I will always have fond memories of that project because it was the first one I ever did in LA. I think it might have been my first audition in LA, and I booked a feature film, and it was fun. It was a good story. The producing team was great, and I just had a really, really solid time.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm into a lot of indie films more than actual big studio films. So it was like the soundtrack. I love the acting. It was great. I recommend it. Everybody who has Amazon Prime, it's on there. It's streaming. So watch American Girl.
Thanks, man.
I have a few questions about your movie career. As a method actor, because I read up that you're a actor. How deep
hmm
do you have to be to get into a character in your films?
That really depends on what the character requires or what qualities he has. Some are easier than others. Um, if I'm playing a character where I don't necessarily relate to in real life.
Mm.
I mean, let's give like Charles Erickson in Life is Strange. I don't know if you've ever played those games. He's a great example of this. Now, I was just doing VO for that role. However, this guy is an alcoholic father.
Hmm.
I'm neither an alcoholic or a father, and so it's hard to relate. I'm not going to do 6 months of research for this because I just don't have time. So what I do is I try to at least match the energy.
Stars.
We can
All right.
try that again.
Yeah. So you were feeling the energy on the character in Life is Strange, Charles.
Yeah. Did I get into the alcoholic father thing? Have you heard that?
Yeah, I heard that part. Yes.
Okay, so that's what I have to do for characters where I don't relate to. But characters I do relate to, kind of like the anti-hero type, um, that's kind of instilled in me all my life. That's kind of how I've not that I have to save the day. I'm just saying I try to match energies of characters. So even if I'm playing, say, like an ex-military guy, and I'm put in an extraordinary situation. Number one, I would want to be well trained for the role physically, to remain agile, firearms training, if that's what the role requires, any kind of fight, combat, anything. And I'll spend some time with active duty friends of mine or even veterans that I know, and I'll ask them to tell stories, and I can wrap my mind around stories, and I can try to match energies and demeanors of characters, and that's what I try to do as a method actor.
Okay, cool. Zach, you actually had a question that one of our listeners had about the weapon training. Did you want to throw that in there now?
Yeah, it seems like you kind of answered it a little bit just now, but yeah, one of my friends was actually wondering like what exactly your weapons training just entailed because I think in a different interview you mentioned that was one of the things that got you into the role for Leon for Resident Evil 2.
For sure. Back in the day, I would say about 10 years ago, when I was fresh into the acting world, I no longer wanted to play like the lifetime roles and the boyfriend next door. Those were kind of boring to me after a while, pretty quickly, I should say. And then I met a few key people in the Boston area who wanted to do independent short films that were military based, um, action based, action oriented, and I didn't really know how to handle weaponry, and I was trained by one of my best friends in the world. His name's James Poirier. He's an action director, and he taught me how to move with firearms. He taught me everything I know, basically, and I've been training ever since. So now it's crucial when you show up to auditions. They'll put a gun in your hand, and casting people, they know right away within 10 seconds if you've held a gun before. And then if you know how to move with it. And that was a quintessential part of the audition process in Resident Evil, obviously, because he's a young cop. Um, I actually assisted in casting that project after I was cast for different roles for Ada. And one of the things that they picked apart was how people move with weaponry. They might have been incredible actors and brought a lot to the role, but if they really couldn't move with a gun, we don't have 6 months to train them. So they wanted people who are comfortable moving, and so that's why you have to live it. These are the roles that I want. You have to be good at what it requires.
Oh, okay, cool. You ever go to the range any just for fun or anything?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I train with airsoft guns, but yeah, I've been to the range actually recently up in New Hampshire, here in LA. We'll go shooting all kinds of weapons, whether it's a pistol, assault rifle, big snipers. It's just good to know it. Of course, being safe about it. We're not idiots, and yeah, it's good to know that if action films are what you want to do.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I actually have a question in the chat here from D Merrick. It says, "What was the soundstage he recorded at for Resident Evil 2, and what was the experience like?"
Oh, the experience was fantastic. We record in a mocap studio, which is basically like just a big empty room. Like it looks like a warehouse. Um, and on the walls, there are mounted anywhere from like 40 to 90 cameras. They're infrared cameras. They're just big red circles, all aiming pretty much at the center. And what they do is they pick up when you wear those like funny looking suits with the reflective balls all over it.
Mm-hmm.
All it's doing is recording the light reflecting off those balls, those infrared cameras, and so that what they do is they map out a digital skeleton of how you move, and then it sends that info right to a computer, and that's how they throw an animated character over your skeleton. That's how they do mocap. A lot of people don't know that, but mocap's getting huge now, and the process was fantastic. I'm an on-camera guy, so I'm used to close-ups and medium shots and wide shots and those reaction shots and everything. Mocap is a bit different. It's actually closer to theater because you act out the entire scene. There is no such thing as a close-up when you record mocap. The benefit of mocap and the 90 cameras is that in post-production, the director can create, let's say you film a 3-minute scene. Um, when Ada falls down the garbage shaft and I go and wrap up her leg.
Mm-hmm.
You film that, it takes like 90 seconds. It's a whole scene. In post production, they can edit that any which way they want, from any angle, from any direction, however close they want, because they can zoom in digitally. So you have to act out the entire scene to have it flow and you never know when the close up is happening. So that's why it's closer to theater, because you just have to act the whole entire thing. Whereas in a film, they'll chop it up. They'll chop up a scene into like very particular shots, and you know that this line is going to be said in a close up. So you give that brooding look. It's different. It's a different process. Same idea. Whereas you bring in real emotion and real human interaction into the scenes.
I don't know if they, because I follow a lot of Naughty Dog with The Last of Us, and also when
Yeah.
Death Stranding they did their mocap. Has Capcom done a behind the scenes of your guys' uh, motion capture acting?
They filmed every single second of it, and they're a little tight with that stuff. They haven't even released the BTS footage to me to use in my promotional materials. So I haven't seen 99.9% of it. But they could cut together a huge BTS featurette, and I think a lot of people would watch that.
I think they could make money off of it, sell it for $20. Because I love watching. I don't know if you're familiar with Troy Baker and Nolan North, and
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's fun. I've seen a lot of their stuff online. In fact, when I was going up for the audition for this, I'd never done mocap before, and I was scouring the internet for just like behind the scenes mocap stuff. I wanted to know how it works, and that's probably when I was first introduced to Nolan North and Troy Baker, guys like that. I even found a BTS featurette on Resident Evil 5. They put that out there and showed how they did previs for all the action, and I was like, "Ooh, this is how mocap is." Okay, okay, and I've seen all that stuff. It's very cool, and I think fans would die for it. But I think Capcom is just very very protective of their material, which they should be, but they could make money off it, and I think fans would just really dig it.
true, true. All right, so I got one more question that involves like a film or TV show, and then we're gonna get into a little gaming questions here. But I don't know if you heard the news, but Netflix is talking about having a live action Resident Evil show. How do you feel about that?
I want to be in it. That's how I feel about it. No, I just hope I hope they do it right. The films that they've done, um, eh, whatever. The first one was pretty cool, and then it was too Hollywood. If they're gonna do it, go gritty, go dark. It kind of like what DC did with Joker. They kind of just like shifted gears, and they went away from that like over the top Hollywood stuff, over CGI and stuff. I thought Joker was an incredible movie. The tone of it, they nailed the tone. And if they're gonna move forward with this live action, please do it right. I don't care who you get on board. I don't care who directs it. Just nail the tone down and stop with the Hollywood stuff with music video edits, and stay true to the canon. The reason I liked Resident Evil 7 and now the remake and now remake 3, I think they found their bearings again and they went back to the roots with 7. Say what you want about it, but that was the first time I was scared in a Resident Evil game in many, many, many years. I thought they're going back to the roots, and let's see that in live action. I
Mm.
want to be scared watching those movies rather than have it be a popcorn shoot 'em up movie.
Well, what I've been reading about the Netflix show is that they are want to go deep into the umbrella corporations, and I don't know how I feel about that. I just kind of wish that like you said, something along the line of Resident Evil 7 in that universe, and make good writing and have a good story while being in the Resident Evil universe. Kind of like, for example, and this is not a great example, but the Cloverfield universe. Like you have you
Yeah.
have you have three different movies that are in the same universe. I kind of wish something was like that. I don't know.
I wish they would just keep it simple. I mean, we all know that the people that are going to watch this, they're going to be RE fans, right? So we understand the canon. We understand they don't have to go crazy explaining things. I wish they just kept the story simple and just, like RE7 was so removed and there were no main characters in it that we were familiar with. But I still loved it because it brought back, like, you're trapped in this place. You got to get out. There's crazies in there. They're trying to kill you, and that's what I liked about it. I didn't care that Jill and Leon and Chris, they weren't in it. I didn't care about that. Um, because what RE1 and 2 were all about for me was like you're in a police station or you're in a mansion and you got to get the fuck out of there. why can't they do just a simple thing? You know, they always try to make these grandiose stories and have all these monsters in it. It could be so simple and effective. That's why I like Joker. I respect that so much. I think it deserves every dollar it got. And I hope DC goes in that direction. I know that's often a little tangent, but it's a good parallel.
Oh yeah, and I actually told Zach. I said I wish they make a like a movie or a TV show where it's along the line of how I don't know if you watch it, but Daredevil on Netflix. I love
You
Dare.
know, I've only seen like 3 episodes, but it was cool.
Oh, it's awesome. Give it a try if you ever have free time. But Zach, before I let you get onto your questions, I have somebody in the chat that kills one of my questions already.
Okay.
Uh, Mr. Creep says, could you ask Nick if he would return as Leon in future Resident Evil games? Nick would be great as more experienced Leon in Resident Evil 4 remake.
I would die. Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to be called back for that. I mean, if they make it, I would have to. Actually, you know what? Just in case that day comes, I've been training. I've been training with knives, and that's me being a method actor. So I'm like re-upping my game with firearms because he is more experienced. I'm doing some training in VO because RE2 was my first straight up VO gig in a video game as well. I'd never done it before. Um, I've been in many commercials. I have good command over my voice, but to create a character just with a microphone is pretty alien to me. And so I've been training actually, started taking classes with Paul Mercier. He's a hero of mine. And it's his performance in RE4 that made me want to get into video games. I said, wow, like it would be really cool to do that one day. So I'm leaning on like 30, like 20, 30-year professionals now because I want to improve. Like I said, I'm training with knives. I'm starting to train a little bit with like parkour and stuff. So just if that day comes, I'm going to be prepared as hell. That's the way that I am. That's the way I live my life.
And I think we all agree that we all want a Resident Evil 4 remake. Do it, Capcom, please.
Yeah, I think
Well,
so too.
I hope so. I've heard, you know what? It's weird though. I've heard a lot of negative feedback when RE2 came out. It was really successful. Then a lot of people, I saw the comments. They're like, "Yeah, we need an RE3. We need Code Veronica." And then all I heard was mixed bag reviews with RE4. A lot of people said, "Yeah, hell yeah, do it." And then a lot were like, "No, it's it's modern enough. It's a masterpiece. It does not need a remake." So I'm on that train though with you. I hope they remake it because that was one of my favorites, and I just, I mean, just look at like what they did with 2 and 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
It's so modernized. They are stellar games. I know 3 is gonna be badass, and if they do 4, you know that's gonna be badass. You know,
Yeah, it's also going to print money.
of course, people are gonna buy it. It's not gonna make them lose money. It's not gonna be like a flop. You know, it's not.
Yeah. All right, Zach. I know I took it up a lot of time, but I know you got some questions, so throw it at him.
Alrighty. Guess I wanted to get into some Resident Evil specific questions since I know you're actually a legit fan for it too.
Yeah.
Um, what did you kind of think about the series direction as a whole, like as it went, like from the start to like where we're at now? Like, did you kind of enjoy pretty much all the main games, or were you a little disappointed, like in the middle part, where I think a lot of people got kind of mixed feelings about everything?
The only one that threw me off a lot was 6. I've played it a bunch of times. I've beat it many times. Every single campaign, played it with my brother. Of course, I like the co-op aspect of it, but I think they were just I think they lost their way a little bit and just trying to find out like who they are. They're trying to maybe compete with a lot of the action games, with all the first person and then third person shooters as well. I don't know. It just didn't feel like a Resident Evil game. I think it was a good game, but when 7 came out, that's when I was like, yes, they're going back to the beginning, back to square one, and I loved it. You know, I like when movie franchises do that, and game franchises do that. I think they reinvented themselves again. So I played the crap out of 5 because my little brother was getting a little bit older. He was like maybe early teens when that came out, and we played co-op all the time. We still play Mercenaries to this day in that game. And then 6 was just like, it's just more in that action direction, and I wish it didn't, I guess. But I respect them.
Yeah, I think 6 is a little bit too much. That seems to be most people's consensus on that one.
It
It's like
wasn't scary. It was a cool game, but it wasn't scary. And that's what I always wanted with a Resident Evil game. I wanted to feel unsettled, you know?
right, yeah, totally. Um, I guess your favorite games are probably 2 and 4, right?
I would say probably 4 mostly because that was the first one I shared with my little brother, and that's what got him into the franchise. We played the crap out of that for a good 4 to 5 years. And he was arguably too young to play it, and it scared the bejesus out of him. But that's part of the fun memory with me is like I got to introduce my favorite series to my one of my best friends in the entire world, my younger brother. He was about 10, and it's just really nostalgic, and it was a good game. It was fantastic.
Oh
And
yeah.
then but two, I played two before he was born, really. Or he was like 3 years old or something like that. Um, the older ones are classics. I loved like HD Remake. That one was a great game too. He played that one. Um, yeah, I like a lot of the early ones for sure.
Did you have one that you ever really didn't like that much? Like I guess kind of besides 6 or anything?
Uh, I would say like Zero is probably the only one that I've only played through once. When it came out, I got it, beat it. I had a good time. I just never went back to it. Um, I don't know why. It wasn't like a conscious thing. I just never had the inkling to do it.
Yeah, I played through that game one time back when it was brand new, and I didn't touch it again for several years. I think it
I,
was actually when me and Dubs here played it again for our podcast.
Yeah, I'll definitely revisit it. I mean, anything. There are a couple off number titles that I haven't even played yet, and I'm ashamed to even say that as a hardcore fan. Like I never played like Outbreak, um, Dead Aim, like those games. So I want to eventually get to them all.
You should play Survivor. That the voice acting in that game is you ever see the movie The Room?
Oh, with what's
To-
his face?
Tommy Wiseau.
Uh, I've seen bits and pieces.
It kind of has that level of voice acting. It's great. It's a good Resident Evil light gun game.
Okay, well I'll try it. Like I said, I would play anything Resident Evil. I would watch any of the CGI movies. I'll even watch the live action ones. Like there's never a Resident Evil thing that I won't touch. You know, you know what I mean? There's just a few I just haven't got to. That's all.
Gotcha.
Well, that's a good segue into my next question. You ever try to read any of the paperback books they wrote?
No, I haven't dabbled yet. Haven't dabbled, but again, if someone put that in my hands, I would never like poo poo it. I travel so much of my time now. You know what? I should. I really should start reading on the planes. I've been on like literally 95 flights in the past 12 months of my life,
Oh my
Jeez.
and
god,
yeah, it's a lot. And so I should start reading some of the lore.
they're kind of interesting because the author SD Perry, she kind of get is able to play with the characters a little bit more and kind of fill them out a little bit more than what they are in the games.
Interesting.
She does a little bit more with that stuff. I guess since we kind of briefly mentioned like maybe they remake RE4 or something. What do you think about the idea of possibly rebooting the whole series, like in line with these remakes, like how RE2 was, and I guess RE3?
Going all the way like 5, 6.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think they need to. I think 5 is definitely a modern enough game. I don't think they have to do that. I think they should focus on moving forward. Let's say they do 4. Who knows? Code Veronica. Who knows? I know a lot of people want to see 8. I know that probably wouldn't be until PS5. Um, I mean, when's PS5 supposed to come out? Do we know?
Holiday, but because of the coronavirus, that might get delayed. We don't know yet.
Oh, so okay. So that means if 4 gets remade, that'll be PS5. I don't know if they need a 5 and 6. It just went in such a weird direction. I don't know how you'd fix that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of how I thought too. I think like once you go past 4, even like uh, even talking about the idea of remaking 4 kind of gets weird because all the lore and the story gets changed up so much.
They can bring it back. They can dial it down a bit. I think 4 is the last salvageable story to keep it super modern. Because if you look at what I love about remake 2 and I'm guessing 3, right? Haven't played it yet. Haven't played any gameplay, but they wanted to make it a very very human story. Um, like with scenarios that could really happen, and that's what lends to the actual horror because it's more relatable, right? 4 got into some weird stuff like supernatural stuff, you know what I mean? Um, I think that's the last one that they'll be able to salvage story-wise and keep it modern feeling. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I think so too. That's probably the one you could get away with doing after, the classic Resident Evil, so to speak.
Yes, because when we were filming 2, it's interesting. The director Tom, he directed the cinematics. He didn't he had never played a Resident Evil. He wasn't super familiar with the story, the canon, the history, the universe. But you know what? That kind of scared me for a second, but then I learned really quickly that that didn't matter because this guy knows his stuff. He's a brilliant director, and he said, I don't need to know the history of all this stuff. I don't need to know anything about the original two. He said, all I care about, he said, I trust the writing, I trust the scenarios. And he said, as an actor, I want you to simply don't think about Leon from 20 years ago. Just play your part and act in this moment. And what would you do in real life? In this scenario, when you come across that person, what would you do? And he said that is what's going to keep this game grounded. And I respected that a lot.
Yeah, you can see what you're saying there. Um, I guess we brought up RE8 a little bit. Have you kind of seen any of the news or the rumors about that or anything?
What was that? What was it?
Oh, Resident Evil 8.
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I guess I saw like a lot of clickbait stuff where it's like, oh, now we have wolves. I have
Oh,
no idea. I don't know anything about 8. I think it's all speculation. I mean, yeah, I hope it comes out one day, but
I think
who
so
knows?
too. It just seems so far fetched now. Like these rumors, it's like they're talking about werewolves and witches, and I'm like, I don't know
Who
about
knows?
that.
I mean, if they go back in what do they say, like medieval times, I saw like some kind of video on that. That would be kind of cool to throw it in a different like era, but I have no idea.
Zach,
Um,
we got
oh,
left.
what?
No, no, no.
Oh,
I was asking what you got left.
oh, okay. Let's see. Got a couple little RE2 questions here. We kind of tackled some of those earlier. Um, did you ever? Did anybody ever get any little like injuries or anything during mocap during some of those action scenes or anything? Or was there any
Uh,
funny stories during mocap sessions you might have?
I don't know of any injuries really that happened. We were pretty safe about it. They were very adamant about that because if one of us breaks an ankle, like shooting is kind of screwed. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, uh, I mean, the only thing I can think of that really stood out as far as like a cool memory was I don't know if I've said this in a couple interviews maybe. Um, During one of the sessions, I literally choked myself out and I passed out in the session.
Oh, geez.
Um, yeah, I have the sound file. It was really funny um, because we were recording all of Leon's deaths,
Oh,
and you can die in a lot of different ways. And the very last one we did, like, I was really straining myself and my lungs and my breath. And I for this last death where Tyrant is like choking you out, um, I put my hand around my throat and I was really grabbing it hard to get that sound, and I was gasping for breath. And I did exactly what they wanted me to do, and then just at the very end of it where I actually die, I was pressing so hard that I cut the oxygen off my brain and I choked myself out and I fell backwards into the booth. I didn't break anything. And my leg was shaking, and Tom, the director, thought I was like just method acting. Now I was because I was choking myself, but I didn't try to pass out and fall unsupported. So that's what happened. And that sound file, first of all, was so funny to them that they gave it to me. So they sent me the sound file, and this was like 2 years ago, and they actually put that take into the game. I've heard it because I've played the game, and sometimes when like if Mr. X is literally choking me and my character dies, you can hear that exact sound file when I passed out.
Oh, Zach, you know what I'm doing now? I'm gonna get choked out by Mr. X just to hear that.
First time I've ever heard
Well,
anybody say,
it's
"I
one of
want to."
them. It works on
Okay.
an algorithm, so they probably use like 3 different takes, but one of them is that very one. It's funny.
That's great. Zach, what else you got left?
Um, you ever see any of the crazy PC mods the game's got now?
Yeah, I've seen pretty much all of them. There's probably like 4 dozen of them at this point.
I don't know where people get the idea for a lot of this stuff. Like honestly, it's so random.
It's pretty awesome. It requires a lot of talent, I imagine. I don't know how to do that stuff, but it is awesome.
I just don't know who thinks like I want to take Mr. X and just turn him into Thomas the Tank Engine.
Nonetheless, it's pretty freaking cool. And they like some of my favorite characters are have become Mr. X. You know, like Jason Voorhees and the Terminator. Like when I see them, I'm like, yes, that is freaking cool.
Dubs, you want to ask a couple questions about RE3 maybe?
I think he already touched up on that he's excited to play it. Correct?
Yeah, very, of course.
I actually have a couple of fan questions. I have a question from Tony, who says, on a scale of 1 and itchy tasty, how excited were you to play Leon?
Oh, very. Who is it? Tony? Who is it? I'm
Tony.
it might. Oh, just Tony. What's up, Tony? Uh, what is like 100 past itchy tasty? It's
Uh,
the biggest honor of my life to play Leon, to portray this guy. It was a little daunting because he's been portrayed by like really, 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 really talented actors in the past, and some of my favorite voice actors. And then to step into those shoes, it's like, how are you supposed to think? I don't know. It's just that I've been playing that character for 20 years
yeah,
in my head, you know. And then when you get to like further than that, when you get to work with a developer like Capcom, if you've been playing their games for 30 years, legit 3 decades. I'm not even exaggerating. That's when I started Mega Man. It's like, what are you supposed to think? It's just like, I'm just honored. I just said to them, like, I was like bowing to them when I met the guys from Japan. They came over to LA, and I must have thanked them like a trillion times. I'm like, you have no idea how big of an honor this is. And they're probably just like, all right, shut the fuck up. Let's film a game. You know, that's probably what it was. I don't know.
That's great. I have one question, and then I guess we'll start closing out soon. It's almost time. If you had one chance to play a live action video game character in a movie or a TV show, who would it be? And it can't be a Resident Evil character.
All right, give me a second. Let me think about that. Oh geez, like to play Mega Man, that would be that'd be pretty freaking cool. There's a lot. That's a good question. I've never been asked that. Um,
I have a suggestion actually. If you haven't played the game yet,
oh, I got a couple. I got a couple,
okay.
and then I'll take your suggestion. So Mega Man would be cool. That's pretty far fetched, but whatever. Solid Snake would be cool. Um, Nathan Drake would be cool, and I think they're going forward with like Tom Holland for a young one, but I look very much like Nathan Drake, and I've actually played Nathan Drake in a rap battle, a live action rap battle with video game characters. Um, so those three, and maybe like a Simon Belmont.
Okay. Well, you took two of my suggestions because I was like, you would be a great Solid Snake, and you would be a great Nathan Drake in Uncharted.
Hell yeah! See, I read your mind.
Zach, do you have one more question before we sign it out here?
Yeah, actually, I guess I don't know how much time you have to game, but are you looking forward to anything else coming out this year past RE3?
100% Final Fantasy VII.
All right.
That's one of my favorites of all time, and oh my god, just the memories of that game. I played that for hundreds of hours, and that was a stellar game.
Yeah.
Perfect in my eyes, and probably one of my favorite soundtracks of all time.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty sweet.
Hmm.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing. Yeah. So that's probably like my biggest excitement. Um, time is what I lack. It's just I have so many games I want to play. Um, it's just like the my travel schedule. I'm very fortunate for the opportunity. I really truly love what we're doing around the world. But it keeps me very busy. And one of the things that suffers right away is gaming. Just because it's very time consuming, and I just don't have the hours to sit and play many games. PS4 just had a big sale, and Capcom had a big sale online. I bought 7 titles of games I want to get to, including like Castlevania, Symphony of the Night.
Oh, there you go.
Um, yeah, like a bunch of those, and then 5 Resident Evil games, and I want to get to them all. I got Revelations 1 and 2, Code Veronica, HD remake, and the hell is a fifth one. Anyways, so I have a long list, but RE3 is now coming out. That's gonna be number 8, and then Final Fantasy 7. So it's like that's a whole year of gaming for me.
Okay, cool. I guess the final question I have for you is, what do you have planned for the future as far as like film or stuff that you could talk about in gaming?
Well, I got a couple cool games coming out. I can't really say much about them.
Gotcha.
Um, so that's happening. That's pretty steady. Fortunately for like mocap. Let's see. Um, TV and film wise, I've slowed down doing movies and short films and stuff. Mostly because I'm traveling the world doing a documentary build show. I don't know if you know anything about that, but that's why I travel so much. We go around the world and we help rebuild communities through very special nonprofit organizations. And it's a 10 episode per season format. Um, it's on TV, it's on the internet. You can get it for free. And right now we're deep into season 2. So I've been to like 17 countries in the past year, and we have 4 more episodes, and that's kind of what's happening. You can watch that online. It's called The Fixers, and I'm an actual builder. I've been a builder all my life.
Nice.
So that's kind of like the biggest thing going on right now, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Catskills Creation says that is awesome, and they had a couple of heart emojis in there. And
Awesome.
one question from the chat that says, "What is Nick's favorite enemy or creature from the series?"
Oh, that's another good one. There's so many good ones. Monsters and creatures. Shit. Give me a second to think about that.
I'll give you mine. You see it in my picture. I'm a big Nemesis fan.
Nemesis was awesome. What I loved about him in the original was just like he created such anxiety. That was the first game I'd ever play um, where the end boss wasn't just at the end of the game. He chased you throughout the whole damn game, and you thought you were safe, and you were just exploring for like an hour, nice quiet around the streets, and then you just hear stars, and I was like, oh shit, he's coming again! Holy shit! That's why I'm excited for the new one. So yeah, Nemesis way up there with one of my favorites. Give me a quick second. Let me think about that because there's some probably like even mini bosses I love. Oh jeez.
The the
Huh.
liquors in Resident Evil 2 remake are pretty intense now too.
The liquors were awesome. I've always been a big fan of like the hunters. From the first one. Oh, there are just way too many. That's a question I wish I had like beforehand because I
Okay.
would really want to think about it because there's been a lot of good ones.
Well, hopefully, you come back to the show and maybe we'll ask you that question again.
Yeah, I think this is gonna. I mean, from what I've seen with the remake, there's gonna be some awesome monsters there, and the hunters look awesome there too.
Sweet. All right. Well, I think we're gonna conclude. Zach, do you have any last questions before we sign out?
No, I think that's it. Thanks a lot for coming on here and talking to us.
Yeah, it's all good. Happy to spend a Saturday with you guys. Hope the fans got some cool like inside insight. And yeah, you guys take care. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the interest.
Yeah, like I said, you're always welcome back. And I know you probably get this a lot, but can we get a hi? I'm Nick Apostolides. I'm listening to the Nemesis project.
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. You want me to do it right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nick Apostolides, the voice of Leon Kennedy in the RE2 remake, and you're listening to the Nemesis Project.
All right, Nick. It's been a pleasure to have you. You're a cool dude, man. I do appreciate you coming on the show.
All right, you guys take care. Thanks again.
Later.